Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports and conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Paulo Del Rosario. In tonight's game plan, Sol Mercado joins us to talk NBA playoff basketball. No Harden, no problem for Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving as they lead the Brooklyn Nets in a dominating win against the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll also talk about Chris Paul leading the way for the Phoenix Suns to take the series opener against the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference. As the Philippine Azkals compete for the spot in the FIFA World Cup and the AFC Asian Cup, Darren Hartman will help us break down the must-watch players in our national team. And we'll check in with Filipino golfer Bianca Pagdanganan as she shares the significance of Yuka Saso's U.S. Women's Open win. Joining me tonight here on set is our resident UP legend. That's right, legend. And NBA Philippines All-Star analyst, the Gingineer himself, Jet. Nice to have you back. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me as usual.
You know, it's great that I had a chance to take great photos of you before this show. So if you don't post about this and promote this show even
for
more,
the likes, I'm asking everyone to like my photo.
I'll be very upset if they don't. Okay, absolutely.
You.
No credit, and we're gonna get into a fight. Now let's start off with some superstar action in the NBA Eastern Conference with Game 2 between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. Big night for Kevin Durant, 32 points, 4 rebounds with 6 assists in a 125-86 victory of the Brooklyn Nets over the Milwaukee Bucks. It was one-sided. It was dominating. 2-0 lead for the Nets after this one. Giannis Antetokounmpo with a subpar 18, 11, and 4 line. Kyrie Irving boosting up with 22, 5, and 6. And yet, the thing is, there's still no James Harden, and they just destroyed the Milwaukee Bucks.
No James Harden, no problem. I mean, that's what everyone is saying right now. You saw the stats, you saw the game. It's just complete dominance by Brooklyn. I mean, the way they came out and just punched Milwaukee in the mouth, and they capitalized. They didn't let up the entire ball game. It was just an offensive showcase, led by, of course, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
I remember before the series even started, everyone was saying that, okay, Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be the guy that Brooklyn could not stop. But it has been the other way around. Now Milwaukee, even with all their defensive tools, could not stop anything that Brooklyn have been doing. Now joining us live to talk about the dominance of the Nets is our senior analyst and 3-time PBA champ, Sol Mercado. Sol, how are you doing?
Doing well. How you guys doing? What's up, Jet?
Yes. What's up, Kuya Sol?
Sol, Jet was on the way here, and he found out that you were going to be our guest today, and he freaked out.
I was excited.
Yeah.
I was excited.
All right, sure. All right, so
I miss you, brother.
Thanks, bro. Miss you too.
Well, Sol, no Harden, no problem for the Nets, and it feels like maybe we are kind of undervaluing what the Nets have in general in terms of the offensive firepower. Do you feel that they might have even another level to go through here in the playoffs?
Man, if they have another level to go through, they might as well just give them the trophy now. But yeah, I mean, they look incredible. And I always said to some of my friends that when one of those guys are out, I feel like they're even better. Like whether it's Kyrie, Durant, or Harden, when it's just two of them, I feel like the offense flows a little better. So not saying that they're better without Harden, but when it's just two of them, they're pretty amazing and hard to stop.
I mean, if you talk about the Bucks and the way they've been playing, I mean, I'd ask you, Sol, if you were on the team, or probably even better, if you were coaching the Milwaukee, what would you adjust? What would you think? How would you bring back the Milwaukee that, it's still possible that they can still contend against Brooklyn, but what do they need to do, in your opinion?
They have to control the tempo. I feel like Brooklyn controlled the tempo. They control the pace of the game, and it suits what they want to do. Milwaukee is a team that really shoots a lot of threes and wants to get up and down as well. But I feel like they really need to control the pace and the tempo a little better. I've been pretty disappointed in Holiday. I felt like this could be his coming out party to just kind of get out there and make a statement. And he hasn't really, he's been underwhelming in my opinion.
The Nets led by as much as 49 points in Game 2. And as I mentioned a while ago, defensively, the Bucks, a lot of people were high on them going into the series. Do you feel that maybe the matchups aren't as favorable as people would have thought of based on what you've seen in the first 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, they're Brooklyn plays small ball. I mean, they got Kevin Durant on Brook Lopez, and the Bucks aren't taking advantage of that. The Nets are winning that matchup, and so I just feel like the Bucks got to come up with a different game plan coming into this next game at home, and hopefully they could turn it around.
Well, looking at what has happened so far, everyone's saying that maybe a sweep is already in the cards. Is it time, Saul, to bring out the Walis Tambo and really show the Bucks the way out? Or do they still have a chance to steal something here?
It's hard not to say sweep after you saw those first 2 games, but I mean, I feel like they'll win at least one at home. So I don't think it's going to be a sweep, but this series isn't looking promising for the Bucks.
So we're going to take a look at some of the things that went around social media during this game. And again, if you're an NBA fan, I'm sure that you're also you have one eye on Twitter because the things that we see online are insane.
Hilarious.
And looking at some of them aren't even memes. So this one definitely is one. Taking a look at
I don't know if y'all can see this, but
I don't know, Zal, if you can see this, but it's basically Giannis being thrown through a table. Dudley Boy style, and yes, I think I'm young enough to remember this particular generation in wrestling. But then, as much as we say, and as much as we're making fun of the Bucks, they could spin this around. You know how the Undertaker just comes back from the dead?
that's going to be the next
that
meme.
Could be the next game.
Probably.
Absolutely. And this team, talking about the Bucks, we're always putting a lot on Giannis. Do you think that he needs to step up a bit more, or is it now on his team?
I mean, like I said, I felt like this is Drew Holiday's coming out party. I mean, Giannis isn't, in my opinion, a go-to guy. He's not someone that, you put the ball in his hands and you hope that he could bring you to the promised land like a LeBron James or a Luka or a Trae Young or, like an Anthony Davis. I feel like he's just a very good role player, like a superstar role player, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I feel like Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, those guys and the rest of the team really got to step up.
Jet?
I got to add. No, I was going to add that I have a feeling, knowing, of course, Saul, he can relate to how Drew Holiday plays. He's a point guard, and he loves playing defense. Correct me if I'm wrong, Saul, but I think that's probably why you're leaning towards more of him and his coming out. It's probably just because of how he
the way they approach business.
For sure.
Now, speaking about approaching business, I want to take a look at the other series that was played, talking about the Suns and the Nuggets and Chris Paul in general. It felt like, especially after that last series, maybe we won't see the best of him because of that injury that he suffered early on. But then he was spectacular against the Denver Nuggets. 21 and 11 with 6 rebounds to boot. He matched the scoring output of a certain Devin Booker, and Nikola Jokic only coming up with 22 points and 3 assists, almost crucially there, Jet.
I mean, if you look at Chris Paul's numbers, I think Saul can agree with me. I don't think you have to question any more injury issues with him and his shoulder. The way he's played, this is his first double-double, if I'm not mistaken, of the playoffs, and the way he led his team. I want to ask Saul, I mean, what did you see on how he changed his game up from the first half? I think he only took 1 shot from the first quarter and then just ended up taking over for the team. How did he do it?
I mean, he's the ultimate game manager, so he knows when to put the pedal to the metal, and when he smells blood, he knows when to put a team away, and that's pretty much what he did. I mean, the other guys were stepping up today, Bridges and Ayton, and obviously Booker lately, but he just knows when to take over the game, and his shoulder looked great. So he's taking the step back threes that he wasn't doing last series, so he looks amazing.
Nikola Jokic, he's so dangerous because of his passing ability. And when they take that away, again, we saw the number of assists that he racked up. Only 3 here in their first game against Phoenix. Do you feel that if you're a Suns fan, you're happy that he is not able to really sling the ball around the way that he used to do in the previous series and throughout the entire regular season?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's one of the things that they're keying in on it because I think their record is pretty high when he has like 6.5 in assists and above, and when he doesn't, their record is pretty bad. So I think they're really trying to take advantage of that aspect of his game and not let him get his other teammates going. So DeAndre Ayton's doing a great job too. I feel like he's been a X factor for them.
I think Ayton is more than an X factor in my opinion. If he can match Jokic or even exceed him, I think he's it's a win already automatically for the Suns.
Well,
For sure.
now with what we've seen so far, we know that the Jazz and Clippers are on the other side of the Western bracket, and we know that the Nuggets and the Suns are going at it right now. Do you feel, Saul, that the favorites of the Western Conference right now is probably maybe within that Suns or in Denver bracket, or will it come out of the Jazz Clippers bracket?
I mean, I'm not a big believer on the Clippers, but I feel like obviously they have the guys that can do it. So the Suns are a more complete team, in my opinion. But the Clippers have weapons that have been there before. Obviously, Kawhi knows what it takes. I mean, we'll see. The Suns don't have much championship experience, and the Clippers do. So that for me is a big factor.
Well, Saul, we're going to see whether or not that will play a factor for you soon, or for any of the people who are making predictions here. We're not in the business of that because I think everyone so far in the show has been wrong, except for Camille Clay. And
it's only her.
Because she
bracket that's still
said
alive.
the Suns could go to the finals.
Oh, she didn't know that AD would get injured.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll
I'm
see.
not
We'll
gonna say
see.
whatever.
Anyway, so thank you very much for joining us. And we can't
Thank
wait
you,
to hear
guys.
what's going to happen soon and what analysis you have for us. Now, for everyone else, it doesn't get any better than this. The 2021 NBA playoffs are here, and all bets are off. Don't miss the NBA action tomorrow on NBA TV Philippines. The Utah Jazz, my Utah Jazz Jet, will take on the LA Clippers for Game 1 of the second round. Now, when we return, the Philippine Azkals compete for their spot in the FIFA World Cup and AFC Asian Cup. Darren Hartman joins us to break down the must-watch players in our national team. Keep it here. You're watching the game.
And welcome back to the game. I'm Jet Manuel. Folks, let's head on to the pitch for some Philippine football. Our very own Philippine Azkals continue their quest for a spot in the FIFA World Cup and the AFC Asian Cup. Following a 2-0 loss against China, the Azkals are set to bounce back against Guam in their match on June 11, 10 p.m. Manila time. Then, the Azkals will face the Maldives on June 15. As our country brooms with pride for the Philippine Azkals, it is time for us to break down some of the must-watch players in the squad. Joining us is a former Azkal himself, one of the top youth football coaches in the Philippines, Darren Hartman. Coach, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Good evening. It's great to be here.
Can I just say, Darren, I'm here. My capacity right now, I'm changing from host to analyst to join you because we did cover that game together. And Jet, if you don't mind, I'm gonna put on my analyst
Oh my
cap.
God, this is
Okay,
not
so-
on the. Okay.
All right. So what do you want to know, Jet?
Okay, let me take this. All right, so you guys, mind you, everybody. Okay, thank you. You guys covered the game last night.
Yes.
And you both have football backgrounds, including you, Pao. I mean, as hard as people may think. Okay, and jumping right to it, for someone like me, I mean, I love watching the game just to support the Azkals. I'm a casual football fan. What are your impressions? And maybe Darren, I can ask you, what did you think of how they played and how they actually held their own against a strong team like China?
Well, for me, it was never going to be easy. The preparation was far from perfect, but I think the coaching staff and the players adjusted the best that they could. And it was, for all means, it was a very good outing. 2-0 on paper against China, who we would consider a powerhouse in Asian football, is a fantastic result. And I think the boys would be really proud of what they did over the 90 minutes, even though things didn't really play out as they planned. It was still a very good outing and a very important learning process in the team developing to reach higher heights in world football.
And, just to piggyback on that, Jet, because this is a team that is fairly young, a lot of new faces. In fact, if you go through the lineup and you're a casual fan, wala kang kilala dun eh.
Yeah,
You go through it. You probably know a Stefan Schrock, you probably know a Patrick Reichelt, but then, or maybe a fourth of the team you probably haven't heard of prior to this. So there was a lot of excitement going into this one.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of new players. Coach mentioned, of course, that they're the team, the players, the development. But, I want to ask you, analyst Pao.
Oh, yes.
Did you have any, maybe if you can let me know or let the audience know, maybe a few players that you think were bright spots, some of the new faces, some of the old ones. Who did you think actually stood out in that game?
Well, everyone who watched and joined us at 1 a.m. last night, thank you very much for joining us, was impressed by Jefferson Tabinas, 22 years old, defender from who plies his trade in the second league in Japan, a very high level. He came into this one with a lot of expectation already. And when he took the field for the first time, I don't think anyone was ready for the type of force that he played with, because he was able to put the naturalized player of China and another player from China that played in La Liga, which is probably one of the best leagues in the entire world, in his pocket, and was able to just hammer them down and keep them quiet for majority of the game. Jefferson Tabinas, mga kababayan, looking at him right now, we saw photos of him just a while ago, and amongst us reporters, these football reporters, some of them mentioned, actually a good friend of mine mentioned that he kind of reminds him of a certain CJ Perez, and just because of the way they look and just because of the way they approach the game.
Okay,
Walang
now we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
I can actually relate
Exactly.
now on the way he plays, the way he affects the game.
And look at that.
Okay.
See, there is something there. They are long lost brothers.
Is that what you were thinking when you were covering the game last night?
Oh yeah, I was thinking that this guy had
exactly.
no fear. It reminded me of CJ Perez in the FIBA Basketball World Cup when he attacked everyone over and over again.
Well, maybe that's something that we can look out for as a player that I want to personally look out for now. I'm going to see, watching the game, I'm going to look at maybe a picture of CJ side by side with him.
Okay, yeah. Let's see what happens.
But moving on, I mean, after of course, this guy, do you have maybe someone old, someone from previous team, someone who's not new that you think, maybe Coach Darren can chime in on this, another player who really stood out, who maybe gave some veteran leadership or gave us a taste of what we could do on the pitch?
Well, I think one of the interesting tactical decisions from the coaching staff was to play Patrick Reichelt at right back. We're accustomed to seeing him playing right midfield as a winger, getting up and down. And I think that if you were to analyse the actual game, very few of China's chances came down their left-hand side. So Patrick Reichelt, as one of the mainstay players, has done a fantastic job controlling the right-hand side of the pitch, also considering the personnel changed, and he had the responsibility of guiding a young Harvey Gayoso through about almost 60 minutes of the game after the unfortunate injury to Kenshiro Daniels. So I would say Patrick Reichelt's done a really good job on the right-hand side for us.
Well, Darren, you brought up Harvey, and I want to know your opinion on him now that we slept on it, now that we had a chance to really see what he's done. What's your assessment of how Harvey did? A lot of people are hoping that he could be the next Chiefy Caligdong, but based on his first big match for the Azkals, what's your verdict?
I think the pathway that Harvey has followed is very important to Philippine football. Now, for those of you who are accustomed to watching the UAAP, you can just see how quick and how pacey Harvey is as a player. He can still transition that pace into the PFL, depending on who he's playing against. I mean, football in terms of speed is relative. It's very hard to describe to the average fan just how well equipped the Chinese team was. They were big and they were strong and they were fast all over the park, that they kind of managed to cancel out the pace of Harvey Gioso. So it's a real learning process for him. It's going to toughen him up mentally, and we hope that because of that, he will be able to work on his physical game and be able to settle into that sort of level of football, because he didn't look out of place. He just looked like he needed more experience at that level.
I mean, hearing all this, hearing all of the young players, the way that we can perform, and I'm personally excited to watch the next game against Guam. Maybe Pao, maybe you can just give us a short preview of what do you think the adjustments will be, and how can we, what can we expect from the Azkals coming up against Guam?
With all due respect to Guam, this is going to be a game where the Philippines are expected to win. Now, this may be a chance for Coach Scott Cooper to maybe give in more experience to some of the younger ones. We mentioned Harvey Gayoso. Maybe he might get more minutes. There's also a certain Mardiano, again, a guy who used to play UAP football, a chance to really test himself on the international level. So there is a possibility that we may see a bit more rotation, maybe have some of the veterans try and really instill something in this team that, the young ones and the old ones having a continuity in the team moving forward. So let's see. But the expectation here is that the Azkals should be comfortable against Guam. But again, the ball is round and things can change.
Okay, well, definitely exciting. Definitely something to look forward to. And this will be, something that I think everybody can look forward to in supporting the Philippine Azkals.
All right.
And after the break, we'll check in with the Filipino golfer Bianca Pagdanganan as she shares the significance of Yuka Saso's US Women's Open win. Stay tuned, you're watching The Game.
Right, joining me, Ms. Bianca Pagdanganan, one of the phenoms of Philippine golf as of the past few years. And I think right now you'd understand that we are here to celebrate something that was amazing. Just the other day, you were there in person to witness our very own Yuka Saso, your teammate in the Asian Games, get her first ever major title, the US Open. How was that experience being there and seeing Yuka, of all people, all the people that you know,
I know.
that trophy?
My gosh, it was crazy. Like, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Like, I think it was such a great experience. I witnessed history. She's the first major winner from the Philippines, even the youngest. Also, can I just say that I think the craziest thing about it is that she ties Inbee Park from like the number of days, the months, and as the youngest winner. But aside from that, I think the pride was just there. The Filipino community here in like San Francisco is insane. So I was actually kind of late. I missed like her start. I think I got there on like the fourth hole or fifth hole. So I was like trying to find it because I didn't play, so I didn't know where anything was. But then I knew that was Yuka's group because I saw someone with a Philippine flag around their shoulder, and I was like, okay, that's Yuka. We're going that direction. But man, like it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it, being there and how exciting it was. Like the extra drama of a three-hole playoff was I loved every bit of it, and just watching Yuka succeed. And I've known her for such a long time. So just seeing her do great things, we never doubted her. She had the talent. She's always had the talent. So, I'm just like very, very proud of her, and, what she's done to, golf, especially for the Philippines.
Does it blow your mind that Rory McIlroy of all
I
people
know.
just messaged her and now are telling people to watch her swing?
I know, it's so funny because if you watch her, was it her interview after the round? Like it sounded so chill, nonchalant. She's like, "Yeah, Rory told me to, win the trophy, so I did."
So close na sila
It's
eh.
open over here, but that's just Yuka doing her thing. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, she deserves all of that.
In your mind, what does this mean for young Filipino golfers here at home who now see that we have our first major winner, to now see that we have girls like you out there, relatively young, making their way in the LPGA? Of course, Yuka now getting her heart for the next 5 years after that victory, and you'll probably be seeing her on the tour as well. What does this mean?
I think it's great. Like she put us on the map, and there's always that one player or there's always that one person who just has to start, and then everyone else will follow. But then, I mean, we've had like Filipino players on tour, but it's been a while since we've had that or have someone win on tour. So, with Yuka winning a major and being the youngest first Filipino, I think that's super important, especially to like the younger girls. I was gonna say young like me, but then I realized that Yuka was much younger than me. So I guess just the younger generation, she's definitely someone that all these kids can look up to, and she'll definitely serve as an inspiration. Yeah.
Looking at what happened, obviously a lot of people are now excited knowing that Yuka is most probably going to be in the Olympics in this year in particular, and some people are also looking at maybe you can be part of that as well. Can you give us an update or at least a clarification on if there is a road for you going to the Olympics, what needs to happen, and is that a dream of yours?
Well, yeah, definitely. I've always wanted to play in the Olympics. It's like the biggest stage for sports, but I think like as of right now, I should be in because I just read it because honestly, I didn't know. I wasn't really paying attention to that. I thought I had like a long shot in getting in, but from what I read, so basically, the top 15 players, I think, in like the Olympic rankings get exempted to the field of 60 players, but they're only allowed 4 from each country. And then from there, I think they'll start filling up spots from players from other countries that aren't in the top 15. I'm not sure if that makes sense. So as of right now, I am still in like, the field of 60. But the cutoff date, I think, is on June 28th. So, yes, I think I'm still in the run. I really don't want to, like, say anything. I don't want to jinx whatsoever. So I'm just going to keep playing golf and just try to focus on that.
Bianca, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck in your race to get to the Olympics. That was Bianca Pagdanganan, and Jet, I'm sure that their strokes are something that you wish to emulate. I'm sorry, I'm not an analyst anymore, so take off my glasses. So yeah, what do you think about Bianca?
Okay, well, I have to correct something. She didn't just affect or inspire young Filipino girl golfers, even me.
Oh.
So I was inspired. There's something called the Yuka effect that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I went to the range and there are so many people there. I think it's the Yuka effect.
Ano mo tawag doon?
I'm gonna do that.
Yuka magic.
Yuka.
That's Yuka magic.
Let's stick with Yuka effect.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. That was Jet Manuel. Thank you also to Darren Hartman, who was joining us a while ago, who Jet forgot to say thank you
Sorry,
to.
Darren. Thank you.
Again, I'm Paolo Del Rosario. Thank you for joining us. This has been The Game.